Hello, welcome to another drive-in double feature. I'm Ryan,
I'm Nathan.
and this is the podcast where we talk about two movies a week every Tuesday and Thursday. But before we get into anything, we have a Patreon. And in fact, I'm going to do something a little different. Don't check out our Patreon. It's so secret over on Patreon. It's only $5 a month, only secret content for the real fans out there. Uh, I wouldn't even go over there if I were you because it's just so secret.
Yeah, you don't want to know what's going on there. Yeah, not even going to preview anything.
No, if you're
Wow.
a true friend of the show, you're gonna go on there and you're gonna see the stuff you really want to see. But don't worry, if you only like this show, you're a fake fan, then then it's not gonna be locked behind any paywall. No, I'm kidding. We
Yes,
appreciate everybody out there.
of
But anyway,
course.
anyway, today on Drive-In Double Feature, we're going to be talking about 1987's Deadly Prey, and that is directed by David A. Pryor. This one is a pretty, I guess, kind of infamous action movie, but it's well known enough where I have seen people talk about it, but it is pretty much Rambo ripoff. I mean, I don't know any other way to
Yeah.
sugarcoat it, but it's if somebody watched First Blood and they're like, this movie's so boring. Why are they adding all the drama? Like, why can't it just be killing for an hour and a half? Then
Yeah, the good parts.
this is the movie for you. That's
Yeah, and then mix in the deadliest game, and you got a recipe for success.
it starts out. I mean, it's pretty bare bones in terms of plot. I mean, it's like uh, there's a man named Mike Danton, who's just out taking the trash out one day, and then all of a sudden he gets kidnapped and he gets thrown into the most dangerous game where it's a team of mercenaries are trying to kill him for practice, but oh no, he's actually a mercenary too.
He was trained by this person that runs this. He's the perfect soldier. The most perfect soldier.
What are the odds of that? Like they just like of doing that. Like they take a guy off the street, literally off the street,
Yeah.
and it happens to be the deadliest killer ever alive. I mean, I guess if you do it enough times, the odds are pretty good. Because I mean,
Yeah.
we don't know how many times they've done this because they don't specify that number, but
Hmm.
they because the movie does start with them playing the deadliest game, and it's I love it because it's like this overweight guy and it's just running, and the
Yeah.
guy's like, "You're a dead meat, fat boy,"
Yeah,
and
and this dude, he's agile though, because there's like explosions and stuff, and he's dodging it all. This guy's a survivor.
yeah, he's doing what he can to
Hmm.
survive. I mean, he does knock out one of the mercenaries, and
Yeah.
after that, the guy does get shot at point blank, and the mercenary that got attacked by the overweight guy, they end up killing him anyway. It's like you're terrible, and they just shoot him right there.
I know, I loved it.
It's just this movie. It has I very little regard for
Oh yeah,
like
this.
the for death in this movie. Like death
Yeah.
is treated so lightly, like it's just like any other character will just die, and
Hmm.
no main character in this movie is safe either.
No, I mean people are dying left and right. They always have to have like the worst one-liners possible before them. Like they're so bad that they had to think really hard for bad ones. Like I can't even imagine. This movie is so many levels of just like bad filmmaking that like it's hard not to love. I had a smile on my face for this I should say most of this movie. What a ride.
Yeah, there's so many funny moments, like just really awkward moments that are just like hysterical. Like
Yes, yeah.
there's a scene in the very beginning. So right before, like after they capture Mike Danton, like they line up all their new recruits that come in,
Love it, yeah.
and they're like, "Why are you here?" And it's like, "I like money." It's like, "What about you?" "I like money." "What about you?" "Same thing."
Same.
And And the next guy's like, I just love to kill. And it's like, perfect. I like you.
Yeah, isn't that how job interviews go? Like, yeah, I like money. That's why I'm here.
Yeah, just say you like money, you'll get hired on the spot.
Yeah, I
And
think so.
uh,
But
and
yeah,
there's a girl too that's like wearing like this like camouflage diaper looking thing. Like it looks, it's supposed to be like a bikini, but it's like it's so bulky, it looks like a diaper.
yeah, I didn't understand what she was wearing. And I think I don't know what her deal is, because she's like kind of kissing on the main dude for parts of the movie, but that doesn't really go anywhere. And our main character at one point says, "I'll see you later," and then nothing,
He does.
yeah, he does see her later. Um, but no, I do think it is so funny that the setup for this movie is that they just kidnapped somebody that was trained before, and it's set up so funny because like the commander's like, who is that? And they're like, oh yeah, that's that's Mike Danton. And they're like, what? How do you know? He's like, it was on the mailbox. Are you serious? You remember this guy's name from the mailbox?
Oh yeah, only that like had his full name, Mike Danton. On the it doesn't say just Danton. He just knew like because usually
Yeah,
if you put it on a mailbox, it's usually just like M Danton or something
yeah.
like that.
Hmm.
Unless they like literally went through the guy's mail or something, I don't know. But
I
it
mean, it
just
seemed like a fast process. They pick him up in the van so his girlfriend or whatever sees it from inside.
uh, but yeah, that's when they tell him Mike Danton. That just it's so funny, like because they go because like I said when it's Rambo, it's literally Rambo because like the uh the guy like in Rambo First Blood, they actually bring in Rambo's commanding officer, and he's like, "Oh, I created Rambo. Like he's the
Hmm.
perfect killing." And then it's the same guy. The same guy's like, "Oh my god, I created Mike Danton. Like he's a killing machine. So he's the perfect soldier."
Yeah. Um, God, and I we got to bring up, he's barely in the movie, but we got to bring up the his girlfriend Jamie's dad, who is played by Cameron Mitchell, who's like an established actor. I mean, he was kind of in movies like this late in his career. Just him and his daughter's scenes cracked me up. It was
That
so funny.
that was easily the funniest scene was
Hmm.
when Cameron Mitchell comes over to the house
Uh-huh.
and she tells him like his daughter or is crying like, oh my daddy, they kidnapped him, he was out and they came in a van. And he's like, all right, Jamie, this is really important, what did the van look like? So this girl's been crying and all of a sudden like totally drops the crying act and just well, like it's like they had this really long conversation about the color of the van. It's like,
Yeah.
well, what color was the van? Well, it was like a green. Now, what type of green, Jamie? Well, like kind of like an olive green. Are you sure, Jamie? Well, now that I'm thinking about it, maybe it was a different color. I'm like, it's
Yeah,
crazy.
well, isn't that the same when they talk about the license plate too? And she's like, it's 472. And he's like, are you sure it was? And she's like, no,
He's
and
like,
she
oh,
just reverses the numbers.
it's 472. And it's like, this is important, Jamie. I need you to know this.
But
Okay.
I loved her reasoning too, because she's like, he's like, did you call the cops? She's like, no, I know you're retired and you would take care of this.
and Cameron
Okay.
Mitch and Cameron Mitchell is like not somebody I
No, this man looks old and chunky.
oh, because this is 1987. So at this point, uh, Cameron Mitchell's like almost 70 years old at this point.
Yeah,
So it's like you wouldn't want your 70-year-old father to like take care of the problem, but uh,
he does.
she's totally fine with it, and he goes out and he goes on his own little investigation run, which is like watching him like do action scenes was funny too.
Yeah,
And
because it's like a military complex and he's like running and hiding behind tanks. He gets that insane speech too, talking to that one guy, and it's like explaining like, you were the problem. I was a cop for years and this city is pure darkness. And just the way he says it is, it's they thought they were so cool writing this.
My favorite line from him is he goes on, he starts killing all these people, all these other
Mhm.
mercenaries, and there's a mercenary standing there, and he holds his hand up. He says, "I'm a friend," and Cameron Mitchell says, "You're a liar," and just shoots him like point blank in the face.
Wow, it's really wonderful.
I do want to explain one other, like, because it happens earlier in the movie.
Mhm.
Is when Mike Danton finally, because the whole movie, like, there's a lot of scenes of Mike Danton just sneaking up on people and like slitting their throat
Mhm.
or cracking their neck or whatever. But he does take time finally to interrogate somebody. And I mean, it made me feel bad for the mercenary almost, because the guy's like, "Oh, please don't kill me." And he's like, "Where are we?" He's like, the guy's telling him literally as much information as he knows. He's like,
Yeah.
we're in the south of California. Who's running this operation? Oh, it's Commander Hogan and
Mhm.
all this. And he's like, "Well, how many people have you guys done this game with?" He's like, "I don't know. I just started today." And he's like, "Wrong answer." Just like
He kills him.
he literally gave it, like he was cooperative, gave him every answer he wanted, but because he
Yeah.
did not know that one answer, he died.
Man, that would suck. Like if you just at gunpoint got asked like a bunch of easy questions, as like what's the meaning of life, and then you just get, just shot over that. And that actually happens later in the movie with the two farmers that see Ted Pryor run by, and then the guy's like, "Oh, where'd he run to?" And one guy won't answer, and he shoots him. And then the other guy's like, "He went that way," and he still gets shot for answering the right answer, and they just don't care. He's just like, okay, move on, boys.
Oh man, there's so many, like, people just get shot for like the craziest reasons. Like,
I know.
there's a guy, like, so after Mike Danton's been hunting people down, there's a guy that actually escapes and makes it back to the camp, and he's yelling, "He's hunting us! He's hunting us!" And then they just point a gun and say, "Suck this," and just blow the guy away.
Yeah, one of the craziest deaths is we just brought him up. Cameron Mitchell, just his character's dead. Like you expect him, and he investigates and everything, and he gets shot after. But this is after Jamie gets kidnapped, his girlfriend.
Oh
Oh
man,
my god, and
I there's
it's
she says a line in here that I'm like,
I have to bring it up, and I think I know. Well, I don't know, but like
go ahead, you go ahead.
so she Jamie does get raped in this movie, and there's a scene where her dad walks in, and the first thing she says is, "Daddy, I've been raped," and it's like not she's not upset, she just says it, and it's like I was. It had me laughing. I was like, "Good God, it's the
It's
worst way to handle this."
it's bad. It's so bad because even the scene where she does get raped, there's
Hmm.
she's like laughing and giggling
Yeah,
at first. Like, I'm like, what? And then eventually, I guess somebody finally clued her in, be like, start struggling, start acting like you don't like this.
yeah. This isn't supposed to be pleasant. But maybe one of the few times somebody got direction in this movie.
But there's like Mike Danton, so he's out in the wild, murdering a bunch of people. So this is like I think this movie takes place over like 2 or 3 days. I
I
think
think so. Yeah, because it does have at least one overnight scene.
there's one night scene, but this is before the first night scene. You think like, so it's only been one day, but
Hmm.
like already Mike Danton is like in starvation mode where he's eating, like he just like finds a random worm. Like, it's been probably maybe at most 12 hours
Yeah,
probably. And he's like, "Oh my God, I gotta eat something." He's like eating a worm, like
eats rats.
he found a rat and like jumps on the rat to eat it. I'm like, I'm not saying, you don't do what you got to do to survive, but I'm just saying, like, he was probably still full from breakfast.
No, I thought the same thing. I thought it was a little too early to be ripping worms out of the ground and frying them up. It didn't feel right.
And plus the guy's like ripped too, so I mean, it's like he's definitely got protein on him that he can
Yes.
burn off. So I
Yeah.
wouldn't, but he definitely was like showing like the starvation mode already.
Yeah.
But I mean, there are some other, like, there's a lot of killing scenes, and that's pretty much like the rest of the movie. I mean,
Hmm.
I hate to say that, but it's just like this movie's very visual. Like I said, it's a lot of scenes of him sneaking up on people and slitting their
Hmm.
throats. There's another one too where Mike Dan gets knocked onto the ground, and a guy lunges at him with a knife, and he just
Mm.
picks up like a stick and just stabs him with the stick.
Yeah, there's that one where he like picks up the dude and like breaks his back by pushing him into the tree. No,
Yeah, he does. It does the Jason kill.
yeah, and that you're right. When I was watching this towards the end, I was starting to be like, "Oh, this is gonna be a little hard to talk about," because it is a lot of shots of just Mike running in the forest. Like there is a lot of him just running, doing
I,
nothing, and then killing somebody.
oh, and we didn't add to the only thing he's wearing is like a pair of like cut off jeans, like Daisy Duke looking
Yeah,
things. Like that's the
really, really short,
yeah, like it is obscenely short, and that like but
and his
that's
sweet mullet too.
yeah, does have
Hmm.
that on.
Hmm.
Uh, but there, I mean, the only other subplot is that he does one of the mercenary he does know, and it turns out it was the guy's friend. And
Hmm.
at first, so like when he runs into the guy, he's like, I forget his name, like Joe, I think is what is,
Hmm.
or, and he's like, well, what are you doing here? He's like, well, I couldn't get into the whole pump and gas type of thing, so I'd figure I'd go come do this, like, go be a mercenary. And so he's fully aware of what's going on, of
Yeah.
what's the like why he's there, like that it's not a big surprise. But then later in the movie, Mike runs into this guy again, and he's like, you know what, Mike, I'm going to team up with you now. And they're like,
Yeah.
I don't like what they're doing here. I'm like, what? Like,
Nah, no. Well,
I'm not.
it would have been.
I didn't mind them killing innocent people, but not my friend.
I know who you are. Come on, they can't do that. I mean, that's what it seemed almost like he was like. I just needed to save my own, but I know Mike here was going to kill me, so I need to get on his side. Um,
Uh,
especially because he does say you saved my life in Nam, so
yeah,
now I don't know you no more.
you took that bullet from me.
Hmm.
uh, but when it starts getting towards the final act, that's when the uh, the kills get a lot more over the top. Uh, like there's
Yes.
one where it does like a guy steps on a tripwire, and then just like these bed of spikes just come out and just hit him right in the body, or like
Hmm.
a spike hits a guy like right in the throat. There's another
Yeah.
one where a guy gets caught by um, like a rope, like a trap, and he gets propelled into a wall of spikes.
Yeah, and it's actually pretty fun special effects. I mean, this is pretty much a no budget movie. Like no money was spent on it, but I actually like it got a little creative, a little more than just shooting guns at people. They actually tried something else. Like I thought the spike through the neck actually looked pretty good. I wasn't expecting that.
Yeah, I mean, it does. I mean, they do spend a lot of money. I mean, even like the squibs and stuff they use
Hmm.
on bullet effects, it definitely looks good. I mean, it looks like somebody's getting shot.
Yeah,
And
yeah. It's not like if this movie was made today, it would be CGI muzzle flashes all over the
oh,
place.
Susie, my fake blood spurting out.
Yeah, yeah. That's the thing about this movie. It's violent, but not like the kind of violent where there's blood flying everywhere. People just die.
Yeah, a lot of death and a lot of people getting shot.
Yeah.
There's even a scene too. Like, did you notice? Like, okay, like Mike Danton like gets shot like a bunch at one point, and
Yes, yeah.
like because he doesn't have any armor or anything. Like I said, he's literally in these jeans throughout the whole
Mhm.
movie. These cut off jeans, and he gets cornered, and he's like he kind of acts like like I'm getting shot, and
Mhm.
but no blood on him, totally fine. Everything is
Yeah.
totally fine on him, and
Well, there's that scene later in the movie where his girlfriend gets murdered in front of him, and he charges at the person, and the person literally shooting at him. It's not like the Matrix where he's dodging bullets. He's just running into the bullets, and they aren't hitting. They just go around him.
No, yeah. And he's got a knife and he chops off the guy's arm and
Mm-hmm.
then he beats the guy to death with his own arm.
Good
Good
stuff.
stuff.
Yeah, that's
And
exact words.
uh, but before that too, there's so many like just like I said, going back to like the way people die in this movie, like just random shooting scenes. Like so, Mike Danton, he goes back home at a certain point. He's able to escape the jungle or like the
Mm-hmm.
forest or whatever, and he's able to go back home because he wants to go check on his wife and finds out that she's been kidnapped. And it's like the evil woman that was there. She's like trying to ambush Mike at his house, and then Mike like knocks her out, like punches her, and then shoots her. Just like it would have been more powerful, like that he would just shot her dead. But like it's like punches her in the face, she's knocked
Uh-huh.
out, and it's like now I'm going to shoot you.
Well, that's what makes the ending of this movie so much more bizarre. The whole bit where he gets the actual bad guy, like the one who's been the ringleader, points a gun at him and says, "Take off your shirt," and then forces this man to strip. And I know it's supposed to be like the beginning where it's like run and it's supposed to come full circle. Makes no sense for this movie. You know, like if this happened earlier in the movie, it would just be one shot and it'd be over with.
Well, yeah, like I would have preferred if it would just ended on the kill instead of it like, oh, we gotta
Uh-huh.
go all full circle. But the thing is too, like, so the guy, Commander Hogan or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
is supposed to be the guy that created Mike Danton, but at no point do they ever get the upper hand on this guy. Like I feel
No.
like it's he's like a total badass throughout the whole movie. Like doesn't like other than seeing his whole his wife and getting murdered right in front of
Mm-hmm.
him, he doesn't. There's not at any point where he was in any danger. So it's like so in theory, like this commander is supposed to be on the same par, if not better, than
Yeah.
Mike Danton because he created Mike Danton. But at no point do we see any glimmer of that at all. It's
No.
just so.
No. Mike is just an all-powerful being.
Well, I mean, it's like so that's why I'm saying like there's no suspense at the end of the movies because it's like Commander
No.
Hogan's like this weak man that's gonna get killed because we so it
Mm-hmm.
would have been a little better I would think if they were both super soldiers and it was like this big fight or whatever at the end, but it I guess they didn't want to break up the they're like, well, nobody's equal to Mike Danton, and that's
Yeah.
probably the reason why because like I said, this movie is directed by David A. Pryor, and
Yeah.
the star of this movie is Ted Pryor, the director's brother.
Yep. And you know that you want to make your brother look good.
So that's probably what they were thinking. They're like, we gotta make our family look strong here.
Yeah.
So
And they were
wouldn't
just.
surprise me.
Oh no, go ahead. Sorry.
I was like, wouldn't surprise me one bit.
No, and they just were getting ready. They knew that in 2013, many years later, they would make a sequel to this movie.
Well, and that's what I was gonna bring up, yeah, because it's this movie does have its fans. It does have like this movie, like I said, is known for a so bad it's good quality to it where it's just they made this ridiculous movie and they actually did come back and be due to fan support and they made Deadliest Prey, which
Mm-hmm.
came out in 2013, which I definitely think we're gonna have to do at some point. So
Yeah, I'd love to.
the original director came back, original star came back, and they did another movie.
Yeah, no, I think that's
I don't think
awesome.
they could have got. I don't think they could have gotten Cameron Mitchell back, unfortunately.
Yeah, I think Cameron Mitchell died in like the 90s.
So
But no, I think that's really cool. Those usually never really turn out that good whenever they like make those sequels years later. Like I think about the Samurai Cop one and all that. So we'll
well,
we'll see.
yeah, that's usually the problem that a lot of these people make. Like when you have a movie that's like so bad it's good quality to it,
Hmm.
it's like, oh well, let's just come back and like make another movie but it's going to be funny this time because we know like it was so bad it's good, like let's
Hmm.
do the same like you said Samurai Cop 2, which is not as beloved as the first one, or it's it's like like Tommy Wiseau, like, oh, let Tommy Wiseau like make a comedy, make Room 2 or something like that. So
Yeah, it just isn't the
it,
same magic.
well, I think they did that with um Birdemic. Like Birdemic was like a really bad
Yeah,
first one, and they came back and did another one, but it was like, haha, this movie sucks type of thing. And it wasn't as beloved as the
yeah.
first one.
Because they forget that like part of the charm is that they're really actually trying to make a decent movie. I won't say that this movie they were trying to make a great movie or anything, but they thought they were making something good, and I think that just adds to the charm whenever it's just kind of a bad movie.
Anybody that puts effort into something and it just fails on all fronts is great. Like it just, I
Yeah,
mean, because you respect them because it's like they tried their hardest and this is what they could do.
yeah, yeah. That's what they could do. And I mean, hey, this guy made movies for a long time. And he B movies, but he still had a career after this one.
Yeah, I mean it's definitely worthy entry. I give this movie a recommend because just for the sheer comedic value, just the ridiculousness of it. Like this is my second time seeing it. I will say I probably enjoyed it more the first time I saw it because I watched it with a friend,
Mm,
and
yeah.
that's to me like that's like the perfect environment for this type of movie. Like getting to actually sit down and watch it with some friends over a couple of drinks because I had a ton of fun watching it then. I mean, this one was still very much enjoyable because it'd been some time since I'd seen it, but
You had to
um,
watch it with your awful co-host.
I mean, if you were sat there with me, I probably would have had more
I know.
fun.
I'm just kidding. But no, I totally agree. I think it's a really fun one. I had actually never heard of this movie, and I'm glad you picked it because I thought I had a really good time watching this. I laughed a lot. Definitely recommend checking out this one. It deserves the so bad it's good. It is one of those movies.
Absolutely. But that's it for today. So, Nathan, what are we going to be talking about next time?
All right. Next time we are going to dive into something that something a little different. We are going to talk about Demon Lover, which is streaming right now on the Criterion channel.
Terrific. Cannot wait. But if there's any demons that you love that you want to email us about, please email us over at drive-in double feature podcast at gmail.com. Don't forget to follow us on X at DIDF pod, where you can post us. And once again, don't check out the Patreon at patreon.com/drive-in double feature podcast. Trust me, you don't want to go there. But until next time.
Until next time, don't go to the Patreon.